juicy it was. So very juicy. But hey, we're on the air, ladies and gentlemen. How's it going? We were talking all things juicy. Ah. Hey, welcome to another episode of Five Dumb Things. I am your host, Darren J. Gendron. I'm here to talk to you about dumb things in movies, TV, video games, music, and more. And with me, as always, my co-host, Brandon J. Carr, possibly a man-shaped suit filled with 38 squirrels.
It's 39 now. I got a promotion.
Oh, is that a promotion or just like a new hire?
For the suit company in general, yeah, it's a new hire, but I got promoted to head squirrel.
Okay, so you're head squirrel.
Like literally, I'm the head that sticks out of the suit.
Yeah, you are the head Voltron squirrel, basically. You formed the head.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Is there a summer internship program for squirrels? Is that how you got a new one?
Well, you have to start at the bottom, literally in the shoes.
You work the shoe duty, and man, if you're walking a dog, it's a shitty job.
Wow.
Whoa, that is possibly the worst pun that we'll have today. Probably not.
Oh, I don't know.
Probably not. But let's introduce our guest. Ladies and gentlemen, we have an amazingly talented stand-up comic and actor, David Sharp. Say hi, David.
Hi, David. Thanks for having me, boys. I am one fat badger in human clothes.
Just one?
Just
How
one
do you
badger?
function?
One badger. He's very fat, though.
Can I be an otter? Like, if we're assigning random mammals to be, I want to be an otter. And this is entirely because today I saw it was video of an otter that just did not give an F. Like, it was just laid out on the beach, throwing sand on itself, enjoying the sun. And the only reason that this was crazy is because the beach it was on an Amazon river, and it was surrounded by 10 crocodiles. Didn't care.
Ah.
Wow.
That was an awesome ass otter right there.
Was it eaten at the end of the clip?
No. The crocodiles were not messing with that otter.
Oh.
I'm thinking that otter has definitely made an example of one of the other crocodiles at some point in its life.
Cracked its skull on its chest.
Yes, just like, yeah.
Was it wearing a crocodile skin jacket?
No, but little boots.
Oh.
Just so adorable. So adorable and full of murder. Okay, guys, this is how the podcast works. Brandon and I, we're going to present our cases of things that we think are dumb in movies, in television, in video game, in music, and more. And we bring in our guest artists, we bring in our guest comedians, our guest actors, and they get to point to us why we're dumb. So we're going to each present our cases. We'll put on 5 minutes on the clock, and we will promptly ignore all 5 minutes. And we will ramble incoherently, and then the Honorable Judge David Sharp is going to tell us why we're dumb. So let me fire up the clock-o-matic. And Brandon, do you have a preference? Do you want to go first on any of these, or am I taking first the entire way?
You do whatever you want.
I am full of rage this week, so I'm going first.
Oh,
the entire time.
No, I can see the machete in your hand, so let's let you go first.
Okay. And the funniest thing is like, sorry, what?
You can see the veins pulsing in your newly shaven head.
It's not that newly shaven. It's growing back now. Like this is a nice look of the wife looking at me and saying, no, grow some of it back. Like, that's exactly what this haircut is right now.
Right, fine. Some of it.
Some of it. So I am now stubbly. I am a chia pet at the moment. So that's not why I'm angry. And the funniest thing is I'm starting on the one topic that I'm pretty sure I'm not angry about. I'm kind of surprised, actually. Brandon, did you not see Civil War this week?
I didn't. This has not been a good week for me.
Oh, gosh,
so I have not. I'm hoping to possibly see it this weekend,
okay.
But I've had no time to do anything.
I almost felt like I was extending an olive branch to you by letting you take Civil War if you wanted to say that Civil War was dumb. So I filled in my topics before you this week, and so I went with. But also at the same time, there was something that came out this week that it was like I have to talk about because I have a problem, and this is probably an intervention that I'm putting together for myself. This week, Deadpool came out on Blu-ray, guys. Very excited. Very excited. Been looking forward to this movie. I'm planning on watching it pretty soon. Yeah. No, I've already seen it too many times, but excited. Okay, so here's the thing. I'm weirdly obsessed with movie marketing. Like, that's a big thing with me. They decided to market Deadpool just one last time. They came out with these TV ads that are tying Deadpool to Viagra commercials. They're a nice little slice of genius. And then Honest Trailers came out this week with the Deadpool Honest Trailer. The Honest Trailer is a YouTube thing where they kind of like point out how stupid things are being. They have a really good announcer guy, voice guy, doing the voiceover for it, and I've always enjoyed Honest Trailers, but I was kind of surprised when I realized that Honest Trailers didn't do a Deadpool while it was in theaters. That's usually when they'll do the trailer for the movie.
Mm-hmm.
And it came out this week. Apparently, we now know why. And I'm going to say spoiler warning for those that were planning on listening to an Honest Trailer unspoiled, but didn't get around to it in the first week that an Honest Trailer was out. It's out. They actually got Ryan Reynolds to do part of the voiceover for the Honest Trailer. Ryan Reynolds as Deadpool. So Deadpool is breaking the fourth wall of his own Honest Trailer. I was. Did you see that at all, Brandon?
I did. It's very funny.
It was amusing too, to the point that they even reference. There's one of my favorite things in the movie is the title sequence of Deadpool, where it's not the actors' names, but it's literally something that Honest Trailers does for every single movie, where they just,
has done for years.
Yeah, and they actually point out the fact that, we totally ripped that off. Deadpool admits that we totally ripped this thing off from Honest Trailers. And then they gave us a whole new set of character name versions type of thing. It was rather enjoyable. So it's just, this is one of those, it's dumb. Of course I'm obsessed with Deadpool. Of course I'm going to bring up the movie. Maybe this is the last time I bring up the first Deadpool movie, because I'll start talking about the sequel.
Well, I know, but it's going to come up again. Something's going to happen.
I will find a way.
There's going to be a Lego Deadpool video game, and it's going to make you pull out the DVD, and you're going to start talking about the extra features, and it'll happen.
Yeah, probably. I actually haven't dug into the extra features yet, so there is an outside chance. Oh! What if there's a TV edit?
Oh, God.
That's how I would bring up Deadpool again. That's
the half-hour TV edit of Deadpool.
You know, I'm not even lying when I say this. I really want that.
That would be pretty amazing.
This is the chance to be Stranger in the Alps good. Those are my two favorite TV edits. One of them is The Big Lebowski, where the John Goodman character, when he's beating up the Corvette, he suddenly starts yelling out, "This is what happens when you meet a stranger in the Alps." It's the most non sequitur. And the second best one, Snakes on a Plane. Oh yeah. Because you've got the, I'm tired of these motherfucking snakes on this motherfucking plane. How do you do that line? This is the actual decision they came to. I am tired of these monkey-fighting snakes on this Monday to Friday plane.
That kind of works.
No, it doesn't. It really doesn't.
It was a bit of a stretch, but one of my favorite TV edits, I remember on TNT or TBS or something some years ago, I watched RoboCop, and there's one point where the bad guy, Red Foreman, I guess, is he's like just firing guns into the storefronts of Detroit, going, "Forget you! Forget you!"
That's a good one.
I always like that one.
Okay, I will reset the Shatterdome clock. Brandon, what is dumb in movies?
So I last week, when I actually did have some time to do something, I decided to watch the movie Unfriended, because I like horror movies. I like cheesy teen horror movies. And this one had sort of caught my attention because it has a very unique narrative device where the entire movie takes place on the desktop of a laptop belonging to a high school student. And the movie starts off with basically this girl reliving some trauma via YouTube and via live leak, where a classmate of theirs a year ago had killed herself for some reason. So the entire movie then plays out on her desktop as she's having Skype conversations with her boyfriend, her circle of friends, and it turns out possibly the ghost of the dead schoolmate.
Ooh.
And it's part of the reason I wanted to watch it is because it seemed like this would be a difficult thing to pull off without being super cheesy. Modern Family did a whole episode on one of their laptops at one point, and it was that kind of, for me, that one sort of read like an Apple commercial, because every single product they used was like, oh, let's FaceTime for a bit. Oh, I want to take a funny picture of myself in photo booth. Let me connect my iPhone. It was good. It was a good episode. It was well executed, but it didn't really spread out. And one thing that Unfriended does is it uses all sorts of actual products and sites. So they're on Skype, they use Facebook, they use YouTube.
But it uses like the actual... It uses real actual things.
Yeah, and they have clearly built their own versions of some of these interfaces because they change because, the whole Ghost in the Machine thing, it has removed certain options at times. It has some pretty creepy moments, especially towards the beginning, where this main character will pull up a website about hauntings, or an article literally says, "Don't respond to the dead." And then she'll go to a different website, and then she'll cycle over to another program, and then she'll cycle back to her web browser, and that article's back on top. It's the top tab again. So there are all these little things that hopefully aren't continuity errors, and were actually intended to be that way. It does get creepy, but then they have moments where they trade the nuance and building thriller moments with we need to splash some blood on the screen, not literally, but I'm just going to spoil some stuff because it's hard to talk around. Basically, this entity, whether or not it's this girl, is able to take these people over, and takes them over one by one, and essentially makes them kill themselves because they were all involved in her suicide. So you have this kind of build, this creepy feel to it, and then she makes one of the kids stick his hand in a blender and then use the blender blades to chop his neck open. Which, that's awful. That's scary, I guess. But you go from from a thriller to a splatter movie in a matter of seconds, and it pulls you out a little bit. Now, the first one is, it takes a while to figure out what happened because it looks like her screen's just frozen, but really she has downed a bottle of bleach and is being sort of held in sway by this spirit or whatever, so she's just sitting there while it's eating out her insides, and then eventually she just falls over. You're like, oh no! So it straddles the line between a good thriller horror movie and a teen splatter movie, kind of clumsily, and that line can be done pretty nicely. I think, going back to the earlier John Carpenter stuff before it got ridiculous, where they were able to tell a good teen horror story without really, well, I don't want to say gimmicky stuff because the whole thing is a gimmick, but without going into the ridiculous. It's good though, except for the last 3 seconds.
Last 3 seconds.
Kind of killed it a little bit.
Is that what makes it dumb?
Yes, and that's, well, I think the inability to keep it within the bounds of a thriller and trying to do more with it than it needed, I think that's what wound up making it dumb for me.
I need to ask, what happens in the last 3 seconds?
Okay, so in the and I knew it was coming. I knew they were going to do something like this, but basically you see hands grab the top of the screen and slam the laptop shut, and then it just it disappears and you're just looking at a room. And then the camera pans up, as I guess the character is, and the ghost of something comes screaming at your face, and then it's over. And the reason this bothered me is not because it's not a good ending, it's not the best ending, but because throughout the movie you're not watching her laptop screen, you're watching her desktop, and there's a difference. Because there are things that happen in the room.
Like, I was thinking that you were going to say, like, it's like the removal of ambiguity at that point.
Oh no.
No.
Nothing as high-minded as that. I'm annoyed by the fact that if we were watching her laptop screen, we would have seen shadows on it, or we would have seen when the lights went out, the glow would have changed. And that's all. I mean, and again, it's not the great. It would have been my ending if I had ended it. I would have had it because it ends with her and like the ghost person on Skype one-on-one. And I would have had the other friends start to sign on one by one, even though we watched them all die. Because then there would be some ambiguity, because you're like, oh, was this all a prank, or is this their ghosts too? But that's
okay. So the what we want to know is the Honorable Judge David Sharp. What is dumb? Is it dumb that Deadpool is still on point with its marketing, or is it dumb that a desktop got possessed and turned into a laptop?
This is a really important question for our society. Definitely not at all false binary. So the way I see it here, I like a good teen horror movie as well. I like a good thriller with interesting conceit. Granted, most of them don't ever live up to, the creep factor of the trailer, or what you could do with the conceit. And so I'm mostly just happy to let a film try. If it's a gimmick that you're really going for because it's a new, unique thing, yeah, why not? I'll watch that movie. And your complaint about the last 3 seconds, I was all ready to write it off. But you know what? I do not care. I do not care. Right. Laptop, desktop discrepancies, that's fine. On the other hand, so Darren, just to be clear, you're watching it's a kind of a spoof trailer referencing a film which is itself a self-referential film, and you have the actor from the film in there referencing it, but the thing itself is also a thing that's referenced within the actual movie. So you're just all the way down just like a meta masturbatorial wormhole at this point, just like Deadpool on Deadpool action. So that's pretty dumb. That's dumb. So I find in favor of Unfriended, and Deadpool on Deadpool action is dumb.
It's Deadpool's dumb. Hold on a second. David, do you have headphones?
Probably somewhere.
Yeah. I'm getting a feedback loop through your speakers at the moment.
Okay.
Oh, wait, now it's going away.
Is it back?
No, it's gone now.
Okay.
That's weird.
That was weird.
I touched it, and then it went away.
Was it because we were making fun of Unfriended and the ghost was getting ready to kill us? Is that's what was happening?
You are freaking me out.
And then when I said I found in favor of Deadpool, it was like, okay.
Hey. Oh, okay, yeah.
Never mind. Backing off.
Of course, now Ryan Reynolds is going to show up at your house and do things to you.
Please.
I am not against that. Ryan Reynolds, I know you're listening. All right.
Ryan loves internet radio. I don't know if you knew that. He's a huge podcasts. Just like he loves the independent artist sharing his thoughts on the free airwaves of the internet.
I am available to play cable too, just so you know. You can just punch me in the face till I look older. I'll make that happen. Okay, so television. I've already started the clock here. This is where the anger starts. I don't know, Brandon. Were you debating what you were going to talk about for TV today?
No, but that's because I hadn't heard the news that you were going to discuss prior to deciding what I was going to talk about.
Because I apparently didn't get to I was thinking maybe Game of Thrones. I'm giving the season some rope. They're doing some dumb things there. I will talk about it later. But right now, I was just not sure what I was going to do. So I opened up my TV news browser, and all of a sudden, everything is dying. That seems to be ABC is just shredding through their lineup right now. They are punting just about everything. Brandon, help me out. I wrote down Sharon Carr because that was Agent Carter.
Agent Carter. Mm-hmm.
Agent Carter, because they are canceling Agent Carter.
Right.
Which means they're ending the series on a cliffhanger, 5 cliffhangers. I have complained about that finale,
yes.
I was like, maybe we shouldn't leave on a cliffhanger when you don't have the 3rd season bought yet.
Maybe we'll get a movie out of it.
Maybe, but
yeah, probably not. But
unfortunately the ratings weren't there for it. Maybe because it was on ABC. Oh, shots fired. No, it's maybe the ratings were down because they only ever aired it as a miniseries event in the middle of winter. It was never part of a regular show lineup, and it was just they were complaining about it, and they were comparing the ratings of Agent Carter to Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. when Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is in the regular lineup. It was you showed it during the off season. It's called the off season for a reason. Ratings are down anyhow.
Also, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. had its own ratings issues during the first season.
Yeah.
And into the second season.
Into the second. It wasn't until the Winter Soldier tie-in that series really got its legs under it. But yeah, it's insane that they were just whatever. Gosh, it's it was a very good show. It's ending on a cliffhanger. Spoiler alert: Sharon Carter lives. She found S.H.I.E.L.D. I wanted to see that, but I guess we don't get to see that. So that's frustrating.
Well, we got to see glimpses of it in the movies a little bit.
Yeah, we got to see glimpses of it. We saw a lot of it in Ant-Man.
Mm-hmm.
Saw a little bit of it in Civil War. So that was nice. And just how rough of a week was this for Haley Atwell, if you think about it? No, really, you're never going to play Sharon Carter in the near future.
Peggy Carter.
Peggy Carter. Yeah. Sorry, I'm getting her and the niece mixed up, aren't I?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Peggy Carter. Because they no, we're not going to talk about Civil War.
No, we are not.
No.
Talk about Civil War next week.
So yeah, they shut that off. They shut off. They took out. What are the shows that they canceled today?
They canceled Castle. They canceled the Muppets. They canceled Gallivant, which makes me very sad. Mm-hmm. Actually, I'm sad about the Muppets too. I think that it went through some weird, rough transition moments during the first season, but I think the way the season ended left some good potential for the second season. One of the big complaints in the first half of the first season, or I guess the only season, was that it was a little too dark. It was too wallowing in despair. And then in the second half of the season, they brought it back, and they kept the framework, but they made it lighter, and I think they did a really good job of it.
Yeah.
But it doesn't matter.
I mean, and then the other one, this one cracks me up, because this is still very new, and we're still getting just, I don't think there's an official release for this yet as to which shows have been canceled, right? We're getting news about it, but I don't think ABC is actually, and I say this because a great example, and I guess ABC doesn't always, announce. This is the one that was really the most amusing, is that Marvel's Most Wanted was going to be about Bobby and Hunter, the spin-off spy couple that had gotten disavowed in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. It was a thing that they've been working on and pulling it back and forth, and then they were like, yeah, no, this is going to happen. We'll put it in next season. The Hollywood Reporter, in announcing that Agent Carter had gotten canceled, they actually managed to announce that it was both coming and canceled at the exact same time. Like, it was two paragraphs apart. It was like, yeah, well, they had to cancel Agent Carter because they've got Most Wanted coming out. But then they also had to cancel Most Wanted.
Right. Well,
That,
Deadline says that it is unclear whether there will be further redevelopment since it's already been redeveloped once.
yeah. That was when they first. That was like a year ago when they announced that they were doing a spin-off from Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Mm-hmm.
And everybody was like, Deathlock? You're giving us Deathlock? Really? And they're like, no, that clearly was not the series that we wanted you guys to get excited for. That was the weirdest internet reaction.
Yeah.
That people were legitimately like, dude, we're seriously going to get a Deathlock series. Like, that'll be crazy. And no, they wanted to do yet another spy series. And that might be the problem with Agent Carter, too, is it's yet another espionage spy story. And, like, there are more fun corners of the Marvel Universe. I just don't know how many the TV department's going to get allowed to touch anymore. Well, I guess Damage Control is still under development.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so that might happen. So, okay, ABC, give a chance. I'll give him. I'm still pissed though. Like, somebody needs to give me a very good comic book series explaining what the hell. They need to give me season 3. Marvel needs to give out season 3 Agent Carter as a comic book series at this point.
Well, maybe they will.
No, they probably will at this point.
And to sort of make up for what they've done, for what ABC has done, NBC did pick up Powerless, their office workplace superhero sitcom.
Yep.
So
Supergirl, though, got moved off of CBS and put on the CW, which I kind of like. I'm in favor of that.
Well, here's the problem that I have with it, and we'll keep this brief because we need to keep moving along. But I'm assuming that they're going to move production then to Toronto, which means that the whole city is going to change because National City is LA.
Yeah.
So I think the only way that it could work really is for Supergirl to bust her way through the dimensional walls and wind up in the Arrowverse.
Yeah.
Without
I
a major retooling.
See that being happen.
But then you lose all of her secondary characters. I mean, do you think that Callista Flockhart's going to move to Toronto?
I'm almost dead positive that Callista, like, Kat is going to die in, like, the season premiere. That's, like, that was my first reaction when they said that they're moving her. Like, well, that's the first budget cut. Okay, so, Brandon, let's let you make a case. Since my case is apparently TV shows get canceled is dumb. What is dumb in TV for you?
Well, I have been watching the new season of Marin, which I've been enjoying since it first came on the air 3 years ago. This is the 4th season now, and it's been such an interesting storytelling progression. And it's been interesting watching the show develop sort of in tandem with Louis because the central conceit is very similar. It's here's a comedian's home life that isn't always so glamorous, and so it's watching these folks do it in their own way has been an interesting thing. Now Louis has been primarily Louis C.K. writing and directing and editing and doing everything. Marin is more of a slightly more traditional show. It does have a rotating cast of writers and directors. The first 3 seasons have dealt with the growth of Marin's career, this being the fictional Marin, of course, from keeping it with his podcast, and then also he gets towards the end of the last season, he gets a talk show pilot that he is trying to get in shape for. There's an episode where CM Punk is his trainer, trying to get him in shape, and it's really good. The last season was really good. And it always is on this sort of line of everything. He's the worst, and everything around him is the worst. To all right, I kind of like him. He's never a 100% likable figure. And then at the end of the last season, he hurt his back. And one of the things about this show is it talks about Marin's sobriety, which is based in real life. But he hits about 16 years on the TV show, hurts his back, and gets an OxyContin prescription. And that's how the last season ended, with him laying on his talk show set, out of his mind on OxyContin. Season 4, which just started a couple weeks ago, Starts off with about a year later with the storage unit that he's now living in, and the things that he is doing to keep scoring Oxy, and everything that has been established in the previous 3 seasons is gone. He no longer lives in his house that had its own backstory. His friends do not like him anymore, and it very much follows some of the arc that Louis took, where it got a little bleaker and a little darker towards, I guess, what we're considering the end for this point, since Louis said he's not planning on making any more. And so it's interesting too, because he winds up going to rehab, and that's what this season's about. And Louis on the show is the person who's paying for his rehab. So those universes sort of connect anyway.
Okay.
Which is pretty neat, because they have a good history together. They did a multi-part podcast interview that I think was a big boost for one or both of them back in the day. They knew each other back in the early period, so they kind of weave in and out of each other's work from time to time. But anyway, this new season it's almost like a soft reboot in a way, because all of his supporting cast is gone, which was pretty small to begin with, but now he's at this rehab with new weirdos, including Drew Lynch is one of his roomies, I guess. And my favorite is Chet Hanks, who is basically playing himself. Chet Hanks is Tom Hanks' son, who went to rehab last year, was put into rehab for his addiction issues, and he's the Hanks boy that wants to be a rapper.
Okay.
And he plays the role very close to what I assume his real persona is, or at least the persona he wants, and it's very good. It's what's dumb about it, and while I understand that stories and shows and things need to progress, especially when you're trying to break from a typical sitcom mold, is that it really has broken away from everything that it's built up over the last 3 years. And I know that that's the point of the season, is him getting back on his feet, probably. I don't know, because it's the kind of show where maybe he doesn't. Fictional Mark might decide to just quit everything and move to New York. Not to be a comedian, but to, I don't know, work at a Dwayne Reed, something like that. It could go anywhere with it, but it does make me miss some of the old stuff a little bit. So I think I guess jarring character development and story movement is dumb, I guess. It is really good though. This is one of my favorite seasons so far, and part of it is because a good friend of mine went through something similar to what he's going through now, and the rehab facility where Marin is on the show is a lot nicer than the one that my friend went to, so that's nice. But there are a lot of similarities, so it makes it a little extra uncomfortable for me, but it's worth watching.
Okay. So, what we're saying is Agent Carter getting canceled, is that dumb? Or is Marin having drastic changes to format and cast and story? Is that dumb?
Oh, man. I have a lot of thoughts and feelings about this. There's a lot of stuff in there on both sides, so let me just get to some of my thoughts here. Okay. First off, I will start by saying that I have not watched Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and I do watch Marin. So just to let you know where I'm coming from, locating myself here. Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., while I agree that ending on cliffhangers when you don't know that you're going to be renewed is dumb. That's a dumb move, and what you end up doing is alphing yourself.
Really quickly, I'm going to really quickly point out, Agent Carter is the one that got canceled. Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is still good.
Oh, my mistake.
Yeah.
My mistake. You don't want to alpha yourself. You don't want to leave your main characters in a setting where like you were going to bail him out, but instead the ending of the show seems like your lead character just got captured by the FBI and vivisected,
Right.
which is what I assume happens to Alf. On the other hand, there has been no good television on since Parks and Rec ended. So I am in general in favor of cutting the fat. Who needs all these shows? Get rid of them. The only good Agent Carter would be starring Wheezy Carter, a.k.a. Lil Wayne, Young Moolah, as a Marvel superhero or fighting superheroes, whatever. It's Lil Wayne. I'd watch it.
I would watch that show.
Then, Marin, I haven't watched the newest season, so this is all very interesting, and I'm thinking about it now, having watched the seasons leading up to it, but I haven't seen the newest one. So
Oops.
I think it's interesting that both Marin and Louis had to get in shape for their talk shows. One uses CM Punk, the other uses David Lynch.
Right.
So right there, Louis wins with that battle. So I get that that's a huge break, and initially when I heard you say that, I was like, oh boy, I don't know how I feel about that. So again, this is without having seen it, but I can give some rationales for why I think he would do that and why I think that's a compelling choice. One, a huge portion of Marin's life is dealing with substance abuse and recovery, and starting the show after all that is over is a little like starting your action movie after the bullets have stopped flying, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So maybe this is him using a narrative way to get to tell some of those stories, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
You know, being able to take past stories and put them in new Mark or you know, fictional Mark's body. And then my handwriting is terrible. I wrote a bunch of notes. The other way. Blah blah. Who cares about that shit? I was gonna try to make good points about, you know, narrative and telling your story. Blah blah. Who cares? The thing that I am interested in is, so you were talking about the Arrowverse, the Green Arrowverse. I like the Marinverse and the Louisverse crossing over. I think that's cool. I want to see more of those characters, like you know, the Smurf from. Actually, that's what she's called in. That's what she's called in Californication. Pamela Adler. I want to see her over in Marin somewhere. Let Dave Hill show up in Louis. I think that would be fun. More,
that would be amazing.
More universe blending in reality comedy. Not reality, realistic, you know, narrative cohesion. Okay, those are my thoughts. So I have to choose which of these is dumb?
Yeah.
All right. I'm gonna say that, Darren, you are dumb mainly because Marin's given Drew Lynch work, and he's a friend of mine, so you know, that's good.
I honestly feel bad that I'm not watching Marin. As soon as Brendan mentioned that Drew's on it, I'm like, oh shit, I probably need to watch that.
Yeah, right. I had the same thought. I'm like, I didn't even know that Drew was in it, but
that's why
which lets you know what quality of friends we are. You know, if you want to know where our friendship is at. I didn't know you were in a big TV show. I did know that he was on a different big TV show.
Yeah.
But
he didn't get paid for that, so.
Oh, didn't he? Didn't he, Darren?
Technically, he didn't cash a single check from America's Got Talent.
But I'm sure he had enough craft services to make it worth it. He's really good on Marin, by the way. His character stutters and is a meth addict.
That's good. It would be bad if they cast him as a character that didn't.
Yeah.
Is that stutter real?
Yeah.
Oh. Sorry, but okay. Yeah.
That's kind of.
I was not aware of that.
Wow, we would be breaking a hell of a story if, America's Got Talent, runner-up, Drew Lynch, doesn't actually stutter, kind of a dick.
Just a convincing character.
Just making fun of the disabled. That's
Imagine how long you would have to practice to get that good.
Well, that's I was really impressed. So.
Yeah, right? Like, wow, this guy is, dude, that's like for real, man.
Oh.
Okay, so I do want to circle back on one thing that was said that I just realized. With the Arrowverse and the Supergirl universe colliding, and with the Marinverse and the Louisverse colliding, which one of these dual universes touches the St. Elmo's Fire universe first?
Well, I guess it would have to be. Oh, I don't know. Well, I would think the Marvel Universe would because of Robert Downey Jr.
Well, no, but it has to be a character, not just an actor.
Oh.
Because that would have to be Tony Stark crossing over.
Oh, true.
Yeah.
Well, then I would say it would be the Marin Louis universe because Louis takes place in New York. St. Elmo's Fire takes place in New York, right?
Let's say it's the Marin Louis one because just as St. Elmo's Fire all took place in Snow Globe, is that right? In the Mind of an Autistic Boy, maybe what's happening with the new season of Marin is that is all his anxiety fantasies based on like he got this prescription or he had this back injury and was thinking about getting a prescription or whatever, and so the next season is not quote unquote reality in the show, but even within the conceit of the show, it is his played out anxiety dream because they've done that before.
Yeah, and you know what? I had that thought because the first episode of this season is so bleak. I mean, so bleak, where he is living in a storage unit. Yeah. He has a bucket.
Lost the cat ranch. That's sad. Which means he also lost the cats, I'm assuming, right?
The cat, Dave Anthony, is watching the cats.
Dave Anthony. I said Dave Hill. It's Dave Anthony, not Dave Hill.
He's watching the cats. But, yeah, I mean, watching it's really depressing. And there are actually fantasy moments within it, which made me think that, are they going to go that deep, or are they really going to do this?
But if there are fantasy moments within it, then that makes me think it's probably not a fantasy, because you wouldn't have a fantasy within a fantasy. You just have the fantasy.
Well, if you're as neurotic as Mark Maron, then your anxieties would have anxieties.
That's true. Okay.
I want to double back on two things now. First off, Brandon and I, we nerd failed hard just now. We both just accepted that Robert Downey Jr. is in the DC universe.
No, I said Marvel.
But we were talking about Supergirl and Arrowverse.
Oh, I know. I was adding a third choice.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Life's not just binaries, Darren.
Okay. The other thing, I want to make sure you guys are on board with me, but you said you were talking about like a fantasy inside of a fantasy. Are you guys familiar with the St. Elmo's Fire theory?
Well, first of all, are you talking about St. Elsewhere?
St. Elsewhere, yeah.
Okay.
St. Elsewhere, yeah. We were all talking about the same thing, but using the wrong word.
I was actually thinking about St. Elmo's Fire.
No, you're actually.
Wait, is St. Elmo's Fire part of St. Elsewhere?
No.
Yes.
No, is it part of the extension?
It is.
Okay, there's a giant map that crosses out all these fictional universes where characters have crossed over.
It's the Tommy Westphal theory.
Yeah. That it's all taking place inside of this autistic kid's head.
Yeah, all of it.
Yeah.
All TV is.
Let's let everyone go down that internet rabbit hole of their own. It's Tommy Westphal, Westphall. There's a listing for it on Wikipedia. You will spend the rest of your life tracking down everything that is in the Tommy Westphal universe, including Star Trek, including
Law and Order.
Law and Order, including reality, by the way, because there are real people in the Tommy Westphal universe, which means that our reality is also included. Do you know who came up with the Tommy Westphal universe?
No.
Boy, you didn't want the answer to be no, did you?
Like, I think I know this answer. Like, I knew this at one point, and now I don't.
I bet you do. This seems like the kind of knowledge nugget you would have. It's late comic writer Dwayne McDuffie.
Yes. Static Shock.
Static Shock. He was one of the co-creators of Milestone Media within the DC universe, or within the DC imprint. Yeah, he's the one who first postulated it, and it has spiraled out of control. It's fascinating.
Yes. Okay, so we are way on a tangent.
Where does this come in? Where does this fall into theory? That's what I want.
It is music, which brings us to our next category, music.
Oh, okay. That's what I meant it as, was a sweet segue.
Yes, it was an absolutely great segue. I'm going to say right now, what is dumb is it was announced that Glenn Danzig will be back with the Misfits. I'm just going to say that's dumb. I'm getting tired of, like, reunion bands and all that stuff. Like, I'm feeling like every time I go to the music area for this and like I start to find things, I'm noticing that we're having a severe lack of good 2016 music. Like we're about to hit that summer season, and we're going to get like the songs of the year starting to happen, but I feel like we haven't had a song that like defines the year, at least for me. Now, to be fair, songs that define the year for me usually end up being things like Opa Ganyan Style or What Does the Fox Say, and I don't feel like we've had that for this year.
Thank God.
But like the closest thing we're getting, I think, right now is Lemonade. Maybe, well, Radiohead is coming out with an album, and Weezer has some stuff out, and like so you got the white guys taken care of there.
Everybody seems to listen to Drake.
No, well, the Telephone was.
Well, he just put out a new album.
Oh yeah, he just had a new one come out. Yeah. Oh wait, okay, I can think of some other stuff that's coming out, but even then, the bands that we're talking about, the people we're talking about, they're all just a little bit too established for me. Where's my one-hit wonder of 2016?
Mm-hmm.
That's what I'm thinking is dumb. And
it's time for us to cut a track, Darren.
Let's do it.
Great,
all right,
great.
I'm just going to stop it right there with my music argument. The fact that the biggest news of the week is Glenn Danzig coming back to the Misfits, bring back some more 90s, and that's music news because we're lacking a one-hit wonder so far.
Okay.
You said that, and that's music news in a very Kurt Loder kind of way. I don't know if you heard. They're gonna start showing music again, music videos on MTV. Did you hear?
Well, hopefully not too much, because I just went to a taping for a friend of mine that's doing a TV show that has nothing to do with music on MTV.
Maybe they'll do the music on MTV too.
Spoiler: he'll actually be a guest on Five Dumb Things later this month.
Fantastic.
Yes. Okay.
Spoiler.
Spoiler.
I
don't know what that word means.
Yeah, really, that word has ceased to mean anything at this point in history.
Spoiler. My turn.
Brandon.
Spoiler is the same as literally at this point, where it can mean itself, the thing that it was initially meant to mean, or it can mean the total opposite, or it can mean whatever you want it to mean.
It could also mean obscure DC Comics character that one time got knocked up, and people thought it was Robin from Batman and Robin that knocked her up.
Her name was Spoiler?
There was a character named Spoiler, yes.
That is a bad character name.
I thought the Spoiler's dad was the Puzzle Master?
I believe. The Clue Master.
Clue Master, yeah, alright.
Yes.
I could listen to people talk about obscure supervillains from like the 80s. Just list their names and use them in conversation. That's all I need. It makes me so happy.
Okay. Music news for you, sir.
So there is a petition that is going around petitioning the National Academy of Recording Arts and Scientists. Yep, arts and scientists. That is.
That's a fun party.
Yeah, woohoo! Those artists and scientists.
So much overlap.
Oh yeah. That's where we get the really fancy cyborgs. So anyway, National Academy of Recording Arts and Sciences is responsible for the always relevant Grammy Awards. And this petition is there's a provision within the Grammy Awards qualifications where you can only be nominated for a Grammy if your music is sold. So what that means is that people who put out mixtapes or free work on the internet are not eligible.
What you will.
Right, exactly, are not eligible. So, for instance, Chance the Rapper, who he was recently on Fallon, he was on Stephen Colbert a while back, they're actually working on an album together? Which I think is interesting.
Which Chance accidentally leaked and was not supposed to be talking about.
Right. So he's actually joined the petition because he is one of the people that would be affected by this. And it's an interesting thought because there is a lot of music out there. And I have to say, I was not aware. I mean, I guess I was in a common sense kind of way, but I wasn't aware that there was an actual provision that it has to be sold. Which means that because originally, since you talked about Deadpool, I'm going to talk about Lin-Manuel Miranda. Hamilton was conceived as a mixtape, and it was originally put together in that way. And if instead of going forward with the Broadway musical, if he had put it out as a mixtape that he didn't sell, then it would not have been eligible for a Grammy, no matter how insanely good it may be. So it's an interesting look into that particular industry and whether or not the Grammys are truly recognizing great music, which is a sentence I could barely get through, or if they are going by ticket sales or music sales and radio plays and things like that, because that is not always an indicator of quality. I think we've all listened to a top 40 station for more than an hour. We know that it's not always about quality. Mm-hmm. So I think this is interesting, but oh my God, there's a lot of crap out there, and this is going to be a nightmare if they wind up changing it. It's going to be a nightmare for the people who actually have to screen these things, because you're going to have Billy Bob is going to put out his rap record on like an old I want to say a Maxell tape, maybe, mm-hmm. And he's going to put it in the mail and send it to the Grammy committee. And so are 10 million other people. Whether it's going to be stuff that they've created that they're beatboxing to some app on their phone, or their own unique take on Let It Go, they're going to get inundated. So I think there still need to be some standards in place in terms of size of release, in terms of the number of people that have downloaded it, even though those numbers are pretty easy to fake.
Why wouldn't they just, when you submit it, it has to have like a certain amount of cash submitted with it?
Just straight up, Brad.
Well, I feel like that's how it's done now.
That's how film festivals do it, is what I'm thinking.
Right. Oh, okay. You mean like the Academy Awards, where you have to pay to have your films considered for your...
Yeah, basically, like, so that way...
Do they not? They must.
I'm sure they do. But there's still that provision that work has to have made money at some point anyway.
Yeah, the idea is that, like, so that if it's a strong enough financial hurdle, then basically, of all the free music that's been done, only Rebecca Black's Friday would be submitted in with that. Well, and obviously that got robbed of a Grammy.
Well, naturally. I mean, I look forward then to dodging 10,000 Indiegogo campaigns over the next year. People like, I gotta submit to the Grammys, you guys. So I think that while I agree that's an odd way to celebrate quality in music, I think it's dumb to think that that's what the Grammys are for in the first place.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I almost want to cede this point, but I am still pissed about the lack of one-hit wonders this year. So, the Honorable Judge David Sharp.
Yeah.
What is dumb? Is it dumb that the biggest news of the week was that Glenn Danzig is coming back to the Misfits, and all these old turds are stopping one-hit wonders from being interesting, or that one-hit wonders kind of suck, or that the Grammys are not listening to free music?
Mm-hmm. Well, let me ask you this. Where else was Glenn Danzig going to go? Where you can't reform your band when your band is just you. You know, you can't reform Danzig. He's just been Danzig. So he's an old guy. That's what old guys do. He's doing the old guy thing of getting the old band back together. Finally, the need to make a house payment outweighs whatever personal acrimony lingers from your last gig where so-and-so, turned your mic down.
I feel like Danzig is now old enough and creepy enough that if he were to walk into any hot topic, he would get the police called on him.
Oh, sure, yeah. He's not the sexy goth girls are not going to be into Glenn Danzig anymore. It's going to be middle-aged former goths at the Misfits concerts. You know, they're going to break out the old white face paint that they haven't caked on for years. It's going to be nice for them. They're going to have a fun evening out. They're going to be back in bed by like 10:30 because that's how they party these days. That's not hurting anybody. Let the Misfits be the Misfits again. Nobody's mad. I agree. There's no good novelty song though. What's happening, pseudo musicians of the world? Don't we have enough of you and enough absurd shit? Where's the Trump anthem?
No.
Ooh, I guess 2016.
That's going to be Ted Nugent. That's going to be
2016's one-hit wonder song of the year is those weirdo Trump girl dancers.
Oh
and
God!
Like America song. That was a good one.
That was a ridiculously catchy song.
Oh God, so catchy. Was it a song to Over There, right? Over There.
Yeah.
Then on the other hand, we have the Grammys, and there's the parable of the frog and the scorpion, where the scorpion needs to cross the river, and the frog offers to get, he asks the frog for a ride, and the frog is like, but you're a scorpion, won't you sting me? And the scorpion's like, that'd be dumb, we'd both die, right? And then they get halfway out there, and the scorpion stings him, and as they're drowning, the scorpion's like, what the fuck did you expect? I'm a fucking scorpion. That's kind of where you're at with the Grammys right here. It's the Grammys. Like, the recording industry of America, they have an interest in rewarding things that make lots of money. Like that's what they're about. That is their whole raison d'etre. The Grammys are here to award people that made money for people so that people keep giving them more money. And so to award an artist that didn't make any money with their song is almost rewarding people saying fuck you to the system that they exist to protect. And so, like, I'm surprised the Grammys don't just straight up give it to whichever record made the most money. Just be like, Maroon 5, you made us $12 billion last year. Here is all the Grammys, because we still get to, keep our homes and our offices and our fancy cars, which otherwise would go into foreclosure as our industry crumbles around us.
That would be an interesting data study to do to see if that's exactly what they've done over the last several years.
Yeah, it might very well be.
But I don't like data, so if anyone wants to do that, let us know.
But in the meantime,
it's pretty. If it's not exactly, I bet you it's at least pretty close. The correlation is strong with this one.
In the meantime, I like data, so let's which one is dumb?
So I'm gonna say. Mainly because I've picked against you 2 times in a row, and I don't want you to feel that I have a personal vendetta. Brandon, I think it's dumb that you're worried about the Grammys, because, man, you just got to let a scorpion be a scorpion.
Okay. I was going for the sweep. Damn it. We're 15 episodes in. We still don't know how we win in this podcast.
I'm pretty sure nobody wins.
No, it's definitely the listener. The listener wins.
Listener loses. The only losers for the people that listen.
Okay, let's.
I'm having fun.
We're having fun. Don't walk off on us on this. No walk off in the middle of a podcast.
Sure, I'm not gonna Jake Adams you. Ooh, contemporary LA comedy scene.
I'm going to be 100% honest. I'm going to go back and edit that line out, just so you know. That is way too inside baseball. We'll talk about it later.
Okay, I'm not going to Gallagher this podcast. If you care about Marin, then that one's in your wheelhouse there.
Okay, hey guys. Hey, we're back on track here. Let's talk about video games. This is what I think is dumb in video games. Disney, who is just on my shit list this week, they announced they are not going to make a 4th Disney Infinity game. That Disney Infinity 3.0 is end of the line. This is batshit crazy. There's no other way to point it. Basically, they just said that, hey, of all the toy-to-game video games out there, we've been crushing the market for 3 years, but we didn't crush it hard enough. And so they're pulling it back, and they're saying, nope, no Disney Infinity 4. That means that we're going to, and apparently 4 was going to be, like, they had plans for some more Marvel figures. They were going to add 12-inch figures. They were going to have Rogue One story figures. Moana was going to have a full play set. Cars 3 was going to get some stuff. The next Pirates of the Caribbean some more Guardians of the Galaxy, Coco, Thor. Yeah, so I'm reading a giant list of things that are just getting leaked all over the place, what they were working on.
Is that the Kotaku article you're looking at?
I'm looking at the Kotaku one, yeah. And it's a mess. Like, it was basically like they made a ton of money the first year. They didn't make nearly as much the second year because they overprinted the toys, and then they tried to get people to buy the toys in the third year from the second year, and they kind of did that. But then there were all these licensing restrictions, and the one thing that everybody wanted to do, they weren't really doing until the third year, and that was like letting all the toys play in the same game storyline. Like, you couldn't take a Star Wars character, plunk it into a Marvel story, and have fun with it. And that was the annoying part. Like, they finally got a toy box story together where you could use any character off the shelf, and that was fun. There's a part of me that's relieved because I could now stop spending money on this eventually. Like, there's an end point.
Right, now we can get into Dimensions.
And then Lego Dimensions is just going to be right there, just waiting to, like, say, hey, yo, you need your fix. And that one, they've got it. Like, they are forcing all the licenses to cooperate with each other. Like, you have to, if you are Ghostbusters or Back to the Future or any of the others, like, you can play a Ghostbuster inside of a portal, and you can play a Batman over with the Back to the Future, like, that's completely allowed. Simpsons, all that stuff. So I think Lego Dimensions is now poised to just, like, dominate that market. I think I was earlier saying that I blame China. We were saying this beforehand, and you guys kind of were like, oh, hey, is this the point where Darren goes racist?
I've been waiting.
Yeah, probably should explain that. Almost everything Disney is doing right now is making buckets of money. And almost everything that Disney is doing right now is having to budget cut because of one stupid project, and that is Disneyland Shanghai. It's ridiculously over budget. Some weird stuff is going on over there, and like the American parks, the movies, the Pixar, everything has been belt tightening for like the past couple years. Pixar had to get rid of their animated studios, the animated shorts. Like, they had to close that studio a few years ago and release a whole slate of sequels because they knew they were solid money. The parks, like Disneyland, they've had to like cut back staff, so it's always a little bit too crowded there now. And yeah, now we have things like this. We have Disney Infinity 4.0, which it wasn't going to be called, they were saying, but it got scrapped because it wasn't making enough money. And I don't know, every now and then I just get reminded that I'm a big fanboy of a giant corporation that doesn't have John Lasseter controlling everything. He controls a lot of it, just not everything that I need him to control at this point. Like, John, take care of the parks and Disney Infinity. Make that happen. No. Okay, I think that's the dumbest thing in video games right now, that there's the top-selling video game is shutting down because it didn't make enough money. Brandon, what do you think is dumb?
Well, actually, just to go back on that a little bit, one of the biggest problems that I have with them shutting it down is that it's meant the shuttering of Avalanche Studios, which is some 300 jobs, which is crazy, like you said, for a product that continually makes money.
Yeah.
And you have to imagine that these folks thought that they were pretty safe, because Infinity is well regarded, it's a lot of fun. It has its issues, we've talked about it before, but it is a lot of fun, and they did have all those plans. Now, they did say back in March that there would be no 4.0, and that they were going to use 3 as an expanding platform. And so all those things that you listed, the big figures and the playsets and everything, would have been for 3.0.
Which is okay. Like, 3.0 is a solid platform.
Right, as long as they could speed it up a little bit. But it is a shame that we're going to miss out on it. They are still going to release the... there are 2 sets that are still... Oh, Alice Through the Looking Glass.
And Dory.
And, Finding Dory. So neither one I really care about. I'm sad about a Rogue One expansion not coming, because I think that would have been a lot of fun. But, oh well, who cares? Well, we do, I guess.
I do. I care about the people getting laid off, and
Yeah,
at the same time, there's still that taste of, well, at least now I have a little bit of money all of a sudden.
Well,
Like,
my immediate thought was absolutely, oh, good, I'm free. Now I can start collecting Lego Dimensions.
exact same thought.
I mean,
100%
my son can. That's what I meant.
Totally.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you realize that. Have you seen like any of the Lego Dimension figures?
Yeah.
Like, they're actual Lego minifigs.
I know you can
so.
take them off of the base, which this actually my son did tell me. We were on the phone and he got very excited. He was like, "Oh, I found out that you can take them off and play with them like normal Legos," and that got me extra excited.
I know. Okay. What do you think is dumb in video games?
So there is a new Doom game that is coming out this Friday, the 13th. Which is tomorrow, in 45 minutes, my time. So they have completely rebuilt Doom, because Doom 3 happened a few years ago. I did not like it, because half of it happened in the dark, which wasn't scary so much as it was really annoying. There are some games that are dark enough where if you're having trouble seeing, you can bump up the brightness on your TV or on your monitor. This was not one of those. It was so just mired in darkness that everything was a jump scare. And it wasn't something jumping out from around a corner. It was something that was 3 feet in front of you. You just hadn't gotten there yet. So it got pretty frustrating. It followed a lot of weird threads that I didn't think came from the original series. I mean, it's not like I was a Doom fanboy back in the day. But the original Doom was a lot of fun, and you were on like the Mars at one point, and you're in different hell dimensions, and it was demons, and it was like pixelated gore everywhere, and it was a lot of fun. I didn't think that Doom 3 lived up to that, and so they had Doom 4 that was supposed to come out as a follow-up, and what they've been saying lately is that they decided to scrap it because they didn't think people would have liked it. So they moved on to Rage, which I played the demo of, and it was pretty fun. It was not like Doom at all, but as a developer, I think that id puts out some good games. The Quake series, my coworkers and I used to play the Quake 3 Arena using our network in the office on slow days. And so that was always fun because we'd be yelling down the hall, and we worked in a call center. So we had to make sure no one was on the phone before we were screaming obscenities at each other. So anyway, the new Doom comes out tomorrow, and I was not very interested in it, mainly because Doom 3 turned me off so much. Then I watched some footage, and they released the first level, I think, on YouTube. You can watch it in 1080 at 60 frames per second, and man, does it look fun. It looks really stressful, and I would want the option that I had on the computer version to play in God mode, because that's the kind of gamer I am. But there's a lot of demons exploding in goo. You get a lot of close-up kills on these demons, so if you are holding your chainsaw, you can jump on top of someone and lop them in half, and it's more firmly rooted in sci-fi. And this is the kind of thing that, even we talked about this with Ghostbusters and with Star Wars and some of the other things, but they use a lot of the sound design from the original game, and that's what makes it feel like part of that original universe. Because there's that door opening noise that is very sort of a trademark of the Doom series. There's the plasma rifle has the old noise, things like that make it feel like the old thing. And really, it's just wading through levels of demon goo and blowing stuff up. And it's not, as much as I dislike all of the war games, the Call of Duties and the whatever the other ones are, because it's so, I find them boring. I mean, it's fun to do multiplayer and shoot your friends in the head a few times, but it gets old after a while. And they've been so focused on the multiplayer that a lot of the campaigns have been falling to the wayside, where it's just kind of like, all right, I guess we'll put a story in this one, This, though, is the opposite. It's all story. I mean, I'm sure there's a multiplayer as well. But that's a big deal because the solo campaigns have been getting so lame in these first-person shooters lately that this is sort of a revelation. And it's sci-fi, and it's demons, and it's a lot of fun. Now, I think that you probably have an idea of what I think is dumb about this based on the platforms it's available for.
Oh, gosh, I forgot about that. I forgot that you don't own a real video game system.
I don't. My nextest gen device is my Wii U, and I'm pretty sure they're not going to release Doom for the Wii U, although that would be hilarious. Especially
it would look just like classic Doom.
Right, and you know what? I'd be okay with that. If they put that on the Virtual Console, I would play the crap out of it. Although it would be fun to get a DLC where you're fighting a bunch of Bowsers and Koopa Troopas. But no, it does come out for the next-gen consoles, although I could probably get the PC version, I guess. I don't know. But it looks like a lot of fun, and I can't play it, and that makes me jealous. And you know what? I'm going to say that my own jealousy towards people who have the next-gen systems is dumb.
Okay. I'll let you know how my PS4 is as soon as I hook it up. I have had it for like 5 months now, and I've purposely not plugged it in because I don't have time to like play. So
see, I would go the Xbox route. That would be me. I would get the Xbox One because I have the 360 that's sitting in a corner right now. Okay. But my birthday's coming up, so you know. Of course, by the time this plays, it'll have come and gone. So hopefully someone got me an Xbox One.
Okay, we're going to look to the Honorable Judge David Sharp again. Is it dumb that Disney canceled Infinity when it was making money, or is it dumb that Brandon doesn't get to play Doom on his Wii U?
Okay, well, boy, these are both real problems that face America, and I hope that we're able to move forward with the world where these exist. I'll admit, at one point in time, I tuned out because I got a trade offer in my fantasy baseball league, and so as I'm thinking, video games are dumb, I myself got sucked into basically a dumb video game.
Okay.
So
wait.
ultimately, we're all dumb.
What was the offer?
Well, so the offer is Tyson Ross and Javier Baez for Julio Urias in a keeper league where young pitchers are valuable.
Do you have? Are you getting the two and sending the one?
I would be getting the one. I would be getting the one pitcher who doesn't even pitch for the Dodgers yet. For an injured player and a guy who's playing part-time for the Cubs.
I would be very usually if you can. Wow, that's not a bad deal. I'd consider it. Okay, but your judgment.
So my judgment is that video games are dumb and we should find something instructive to do with our lives. That said, I will say that it seems pretty dumb to walk away from money, and if the problem is not making a game versus a game that was made that you probably could have access to, and you're choosing not to, I'll say it's dumb that Disney didn't renew the series, and it's dumb that you live in a prison of your own making, Brandon, and you can go out and get yourself this machine, I believe, in your power.
So wait, we have a double dumb being laid down. Is that what I'm hearing?
It's a tie.
Yeah, we're all idiots.
Double dumb. Okay.
I'm going to say triple dumb. I'm throwing myself in there too.
Okay. Brandon, really quickly, like if you start playing first-person shooters on your computer, I'm going to recommend for you the Borderlands series.
Oh, I have Borderlands.
You have Borderlands Tales, I believe.
No, I have two.
Oh, you have two?
Yeah,
okay.
I have it on 360.
But yes, absolutely fantastic stories.
And really cool design, too.
Yes, great design, very visual, and it will make you feel awful for killing people as you play it. It's very fun.
No, video games have stripped me of empathy, so it's all good.
They even have a gun in that game that it complains to you every time you shoot it. It reminds you, that person probably had a family. Like, how could you Like, seriously, they were just getting something to eat. Like, every single bullet you fires off a complaint.
That's
You're
awesome.
a monster.
Exactly. It's a really
Why
good
do
gun,
you make
too.
me a
Like,
killer?
it's got an amazing damage stat on it, too. It's really, really fun. Good for headshots. Let's go on to etc. I kind of feel like I could just cheat and just read the title of what I think is dumb in the etc.
Yeah, I have no idea what this is, by the way.
Oh, well, okay, fine. I have to explain it.
Yeah.
China prohibits banana eating live streams. Well, I should clarify. I didn't put the correct title in the notes here, so that might be confusing you. So let me read the full title. China bans erotic banana eating live streams.
Oh, well, that's a different story.
Yes. So what we now have learned is A, there were erotic banana eating live streams.
Yeah, I did not know that.
And B, that's a thing China decided it's gone too far, we need to stop it. It's
I'll save my thoughts.
I feel like I'm just going to make a 1-minute case on it. That's all there is to the story. It's all pretty dumb. Okay, Brandon, what do you think is dumb?
Well, just real quick, because you had originally written in the show notes, China prohibits banana eating live streams, and I didn't go the erotic route at all because sometimes my brain is a little naive and childlike. So I had this image of how there was some new trend in China where people were getting on live streams and just eating bananas while people watched, and they just kept going, but everyone's dying of potassium overdoses. And
it was like a really weird version of the Cinnamon Challenge. That's what you had.
So I'm kind of relieved that it's erotic, I guess. I don't know.
Oh, hey, yeah, okay, so it's perverted. Okay, that's good.
Yeah, exactly. It's the internet, of course.
Yeah.
But now I'm going to check it out.
I never knew that was my fetish, but now.
Right, yeah. Exactly. There's
the only thing I'm into.
It's always important. There's nothing like that moment where you realize exactly what your fetish is.
Okay, I
always thought the Chiquita Banana Lady was hot, but now.
Okay, this is important though. If we're gonna make this our fetish, are we green peel, perfectly yellow, a little bit?
What kind of sick monster are you?
Full on brown. Like, where on the peel spectrum are you guys?
I'm versatile.
I think too green, and you risk being a banana pedophile, and too brown, too mushy. It's all disgusting. You need just like a nice, a couple bruises, just because you like a banana that's like been some places, but
it's seen some shit at that point.
Exactly.
Or it just came home from the grocery store and it's already committing suicide.
That banana knows some tricks.
Okay. This has been the Banana Podcast with Darren, David, and Brandon. Okay. What do you think is dumb, Brandon?
So this week, Instagram rolled out a new design for their app, which is very clean. The design itself is very black and white. There are no gradients, no shades. It's basically the Instagram logo is in black. Everything else is black and white, except for the images, of course, which are in full color. And I think that's great because it makes the images pop and it really puts the focus on whatever your friends are eating. However, included in this, they picked a new icon, app icon to go on my phone desktop or home screen or whatever.
A thumbnail, yeah, or
sure.
a little shortcut thing, yeah.
Right. So what they did was intended to match. They have a few other apps, Layout, Boomerang, and Hyperlapse, which are all Instagram-y things that you can do to make slow motion or fast motion or lots of pictures all together. And the way that those icons were put together to begin with were, for instance, the Boomerang icon, which you use to make loops, looping animations, is a little infinity symbol with sort of a rainbow color to the symbol itself on a nice clean white background. It looks fine. And then Hyperlapse is the same way, but it's a circle. And then Layout is a little layout thing. So what they decided to do for Instagram, since it's the tentpole of their app empire, I guess, is they reversed it. So it's sort of an outline in white of what used to be the old Instagram logo, and then the whole background is the rainbow gradient. and it looks really silly. And I was reading, because I'm into, branding and design, and always when I see things that look like really bad decisions in branding, I always try and figure out why, and I like to find out what the designers have to say for themselves. And this one came down to, hey, it's really colorful, it's going to be eye-catching on your phone. Okay, I could see that, but that's not how apps work. Like, I don't decide what to do on my phone based on what catches my eye first. Like, I'm gonna play Two Dots, or I'm gonna check my Facebook, or I know what I'm doing going into it. I'm not staring at my phone thinking, what's the brightest, most colorful button that I have today? I'm not like a monkey in an experiment awaiting a pellet for hitting the right button. It's the classic Instagram logo, which is sort of the Polaroid type camera with the little rainbow stripe on the side, told the story. Like, here's a camera. This is a camera app. Let's go for it. And now it's just this weird box with a dot and a circle. And
I'd like to point out the story that icon actually was telling is, here's an app to make your really high-tech phone look like a really crappy camera.
Right. Exactly.
That's exactly what it did. Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. And so, well, and that was sort of how it was in the beginning. And just in Instagram's defense, real quick, because early on there was Instagram, there was another one called Hipstagram. It was a whole line of apps that were designed, like you said, to make things look like old Polaroids or Kodachrome stuff. But a lot of what they've been doing more recently, and I would say especially since the Facebook acquisition that everyone was terrified of, is they've been focusing on creating filters that emulate actual photography processes. That was a really staccato sentence. They take picture.
Mm-hmm.
That they're actually putting in things that you would be able to do with your DSLR camera and setting levels in Photoshop and things like that, making it a lot easier to do things like that. So, again, in that defense, and I think the design choices overall with the app that they've made are brilliant, because it's removing color and putting the focus on the photos, and then the icon is just really glad to be there.
Yeah, it is kind of one of those travesties. Like, I expect like a line of 1990s filters to come with it. That's what it feels like it's telling me.
Yeah,
All
where
right.
you can add like a border of yellow triangles and a sort of a pink squiggle going through.
Or like that solo cup design of the purple and teal.
Oh God.
Yeah, that's exactly what I expect to see. Like, nothing quite says 90s like that particular paper cup design. Okay, Judge David, what is dumb?
Well, both of those
Wait.
are obviously very...
Let me
okay,
recap.
Yeah, recap, please.
Just in case the listener forgot, we are talking about China prohibiting the erotic live streams of banana eating nature,
Yes.
or Instagram's new logo.
Yeah, well, I think both are dumb. I agree. I think Instagram basically has just kind of conceded that women use their app. That when it's sunburst, it's kind of pink is the dominant color. I think it's a major concession that this is a largely female-driven application, and it's women and ostentatious men, and they're going to like these bright colors, and they don't care who they lose along the way. And that's fine, I guess. More power to them for focusing on their core audience or whatever. China, on the other hand, you just don't understand what the internet is. That's what I feel like when I hear this. You just fundamentally don't understand what's happening on the internet. That's what you're worried about? That's the thing that bothers you, China? People eating bananas erotically? There is so much horrific...
Not erratically.
It depends on how good they are at
both.
Yeah, exactly.
You get that.
Look, I'm gonna figure this out soon. I just keep dropping these bananas and slipping on the
first-time banana eater, like all of a sudden it's a smoothie all over the face. Yeah. No.
See, that's dumb and harmless. Like, number one, how could this get to be such a big problem that China's actually worried about it? What happened was one Chinese Minister of Information's son was into this, and the Minister of Information walked in while the son was whacking off to erotic banana-eating videos, and he decided that this is a huge problem that needs to be curtailed. Well, just like, come on, man, there's like bestiality out there. You know, there's rape porn. There's the dark internet and everything that's on there, and you're worried about people eating bananas. Get your shit together, China. China's dumb. Instagram's just kind of harmlessly stupid.
All right. I like throughout this podcast that we've been able to feel David's contempt for being on it just grow as the podcast has gone on. You're going to punch me in the face next time I see you, aren't you?
Yeah, but that's not related to the podcast.
That's just because it'll be Friday. Okay.
And
It's just because your face.
Today I've learned that I'm an ostentatious man.
Did you really learn that?
I've learned nothing about you to make me say that is not true.
Did you really learn that today? How many times have we brought up Hamilton on this podcast?
I don't know what you're talking about. You are dead to me.
Okay, which brings us to follow-up.
He said in a sing-song voice.
Of course.
All right, that brings us up to our
You
follow-up.
are dead to me.
You son of a bitches. This brings us to follow-up dumbness, guys. Okay, so one of the things that I've been obsessed about is this whole Axl Rose taking over as the frontman for AC/DC.
Yeah.
The Guardian, they did a review of one of these shows, and it was kind of like hit and miss. Like a lot of people are demanding refunds because it's like an abomination, and other people are like, no, let's see the abomination. What I didn't know is that Axl Rose is not in the best of shape right now in physical body. His left leg is in a cast. They roll him out on like this giant metal gurney thing, and he's just strapped in there, and he's singing.
He's more machine than man at this point.
The review from The Guardian, I love this line, is Rose being confined to his throne on casters. He looks like, for all the world, like a hard rock Davros. That is beauty in language there. Thank you, The Guardian, because I'm relatively sure every AC/DC fan is also a Doctor Who fan. Like, I can see a lot of crossover there.
Really?
Not really. There's some very confused metalheads out there. Like, what you saying? Yeah. Brandon, you also had some follow-up dumbness, which I think I sort of, like, angrily stole during the TV section.
Yeah, we already covered it. Dealing with Gallivant, which we've talked about on the show before, because it's a musical television show that I enjoy with my ostentation. Is that a word?
Are
Ostentation?
you wearing an ascot right now?
I'm not wearing an ascot right now, but I'm not wearing it properly. So I was going to talk about that. Also, the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. spinoff, Most Wanted. We had talked about before, but we talked about it already. So
yes,
that covers all my follow-up dumbness.
There was a lot of dumbness that I wanted to get to this week. So much was happening on that, and I just couldn't resist. Sorry, I've just touched all the dumb. Let's do some shameless plugs, ladies and gentlemen. I'm a comedian. I do shows. This is me saying that I forgot to write down when my next Naughty But Nerdy show is coming, and I'm also, you know what, next week I will announce the next dates for the Nerd Cred Comedy Tour, so definitely tune in for that. Brandon, is there anything you would like to shamelessly plug?
No, there is not.
And
next week is my birthday. I'll be turning 14, and I am very excited.
Is next week really your birthday?
Next week is my birthday, but I'm actually turning.
Next week is my birthday.
What day?
Oh, wow.
May 17th.
That's my birthday!
What? Holy
That's
cow!
amazing.
Birthday buddies!
Oh, that's incredible.
Are your names?
Why did we just find this out now on the podcast? I would have sided on you in all these if I'd known we were birthday buddies, fellow Tauruses.
Do I get the feeling that both of your mom's names is Martha too? Is that what I'm hearing?
That's why we're not going to fight anymore.
We're not so different, you and I.
I bleed. I don't know. I didn't see the movie. I assume that's in there somewhere.
I didn't see it.
That's Superman's great line. Just, I bleed.
I bleed. Because that's the question. Do you bleed? Yep.
I bleed. Show me an attractive woman, and I will get a nosebleed. David.
Yes,
would
sir.
you like to shamelessly plug something?
I have a podcast. It's called Midnight Breakfast. I talk to comedians about the things that they are knowledgeable and passionate about while eating eggs and bacon and donuts in my house, and my noisy cat comes around. It's on iTunes, Stitcher, all the various platforms. Podcatchers. That's the word cool kids say these days. It's on the podcatcher of your choice.
The Podcatcher of the Rye.
No.
I gotta just point out this.
Somebody has made a podcast called that. That's out there. Somebody's dedicated to weeding out the phonies.
Yes. And fencing tips as well. But Brandon, I'm just gonna make you hate David now since you just became friends. His podcast, it's either that or you're gonna hate me for not thinking of this. His podcast has a sponsorship.
Yeah, why don't we have a sponsorship?
Yeah, tell them what your sponsorship is so that we can accurately hate you.
We're sponsored by Kettle Glazed Donuts in Hollywood, California, the best goddamn donuts on the planet. Kettle Glazed, great donuts.
Yeah. So
And they
he's
give us free
sponsored-
donuts for every podcast.
Yeah, that's the annoying thing. He has free donuts for every podcast.
But the hard thing is you guys are in separate places.
Yeah.
So
Doesn't matter.
who would get the donuts?
Me.
Okay. Resolved. That wasn't that hard, actually.
That was easy.
Dibs have been called. Okay. Let's look at what's coming up next week. Next week we have Daniel Perez in as guest judge. That'll be an exciting one. She's a comedian here in Los Angeles. She is also a one-time Price is Right contestant, which we will definitely talk about next week. Until then, be sure to like and subscribe and comment to Five Dumb Things on iTunes and Stitcher. And for Brandon J. Carr and guest judge David Sharp, we've been really, really dumb.